For decades, Starfleet's official account of the Battle of Wolf 359 has remained unchanged. 39 ships lost, over 11,000 lives extinguished, and the single worst defeat in Federation history. What was never disclosed, until now, is that one of those losses was repeated. Again and again. Reconstructed not in a holodeck, but in a controlled temporal loop orchestrated by the Q Continuum. Recently uncovered within a defunct training archive was a file labeled Borg Q 359. Not a simulation, not really a test. A direct intervention by Q, targeting a single Starfleet cadet and forcing him to relive the events of Wolf 359 aboard the ill-fated USS Righteous. Why this individual? Why this moment in time? And what was the Q trying to accomplish? This report re-examines the contents of that file. What appears to be a psychological simulation is, in fact, something stranger. A temporal construct under Q's direct control. One that blurs the line between training exercise and historical revision. Whether the outcome remained confined to illusion or leaked into reality is a matter of ongoing debate. Welcome to file Borg Q 359. Recovered, restored, and possibly rewritten. Though Q's intervention often involves senior officers, captains, admirals, starship crews, this case was different. File Borg Q 359 revolves around a single individual, a cadet, young, effectively unranked, and entirely unprepared for what was to come. The subject's name is redacted in official transcripts, but Q knew him intimately. His father, Commander Gage, was the first officer of the Righteous, one of the ships lost at Wolf 359. The cadet was present at the tactical display on Earth as the casualty list scrolled past. He had no command, no crew, no way to fight back, until Q offered him one. With a snap of his fingers, Q rewound the clock and inserted the cadet directly into the past, mere hours before the Righteous's final engagement with the Borg. The test, if it can be called that, allowed full agency. Every choice, every command, every mistake was the cadet's to make. During this time, till the very end, the crew believed him to be who he said he was, the chief tactical officer. Regardless of any inconsistencies and unorthodox behavior, they never really suspected anything was amiss. Whether the crew were real or simulated remains debated, but to the cadet, they were alive, and the clock was ticking. The Righteous was presumed lost at Wolf 359, but some classified telemetry anomalies suggest otherwise. The scenario did not follow conventional training structure. There were no briefings, no objectives, only trial and failure. The cadet's first attempt to change the outcome of the Righteous's fate ended in a catastrophe. Shields down, hull breached, the ship destroyed. Then, it began again. The loop repeated, sometimes identically, sometimes with slight variance. Each failure was met not with instruction, but with ridicule. Q watched amused as the cadet wrestled with the impossible decisions. Who to trust, what protocols to break, who to save when not everyone could be. Unlike Starfleet holo simulations, there were no safety parameters. The crew responded emotionally, sometimes violently. The Borg threat advanced unpredictably. and every outcome ended the same: loss, assimilation, death. Each reset eroded confidence. Each success revealed a deeper flaw. Tactical victory required moral compromise. Compassion endangered survival. And in every permutation, Q offered no answers, only commentary. This was not preparation, it was punishment masquerading as possibility.
Given the probability of armed conflict, the captain has ordered that all non-essential personnel, including visiting Starfleet cadets, be transferred off the ship to a safer venue at the medical research facility on Marnus 3.
They say Starfleet trains its officers to seek peaceful solutions, to weigh every life, to embody restraint. But the cadet was never offered peace, only impossible choices.
Security alert!
Shoot her! Oh, shoot her!
And the illusion of command. Loop after loop, he was placed in situations designed not to be solved, but survived. And survival came with a price. In one loop, he chooses to arm the photon torpedoes and fire without clearance. In another, he risks the mission to save a trapped officer in the medical wing. Each time, the victory was narrower, bloodier, less recognizable. The cadet learned quickly. Starfleet protocol couldn't win this. Morality was optional. Outcomes were not. In one loop, he triggers a plasma burst through the conduits, killing the boarding party, but severely straining the ship's systems. The choice saved lives, but pushed the vessel closer to collapse. Q applauds, then resets the scenario again. If there was a lesson, it was unclear. Starfleet values taught patience, negotiation, and compassion. But Q's test rewarded only calculation.
You're a sentient being of sorts. Try using this. You know, all this space-time manipulation does take some effort on my part. It's not that easy. I'd appreciate it if you'd make a little effort too.
Was he being groomed to command or to break? And when the cadet finally gave up trying to save everyone and simply followed instinct, Q said nothing at all.
Hey, Spread. What, are you having one of your Bajani trances?
The crew of the USS Righteous were not illusions. At least, not entirely. Each reset brought them back, alive, alert, and unaware. Faces the cadet came to recognize. Voices he began to anticipate. They treated him as one of their own. They looked to him in crisis. Over time, he responded in kind. The line between player and participant blurred. In the beginning, he tried to remain clinical, detached. But by the fifth loop, it was impossible not to care. They joked with him, questioned him, challenged his decisions, and died when he failed. He began to remember patterns. Who would survive certain encounters? Who would offer encouragement before an attack? Who would fall silent when hope dimmed? These weren't hollow simulations. They were consistent, emotive, and present. Even if they didn't know what was happening, they mattered. Whether they were replicated consciousness, fragment from the cadet's memory, or something else entirely, didn't matter. They were real enough. Eventually, he stopped treating them like projections and started treating them like people. Because even in a loop, trust is real, and so is loss.
Are we dead?
I don't think so.
There was no final score, no applause, no reset. The cadets survived the final loop. The Righteous endured. The Borg cube ultimately didn't destroy them. And Q hesitated. He hadn't expected the cadet to survive. Not fully. Not without compromise. But he did. Q, true to form, didn't offer congratulations. He offered something else. Reality. The USS Righteous emerged into open space. Real space. No longer confined to looped timelines or trial constructs. Its sensors flickered to life, and the silence of deep space replaced the sterile hum of repetition. The stars beyond the view screen were not projections, if they had ever been. They were real. They had found themselves where they began, Wolf 359, strategically vital, heavily patrolled. Yet the region was quiet. Too quiet. No Federation beacons, no active ships. And any debris that would have been left at Wolf 359 was gone. Whatever battle had once scarred this region had long since faded. 10 years ago. But something lingered. The crew picked up something. They had identified another Borg cube. This wasn't the cube from the original battle, though. It was too recent, more modern. Had Q brought them here to see what came after? Or was he showing them what came next? There was no transmission from Starfleet, no mission orders. But the Righteous's command systems came online. Tactical displayed the bearing of the warp trail. Helm confirmed the pursuit vectors. The order from the captain was clear. Intercept. And for the first time since Q had intervened, the crew felt it. This wasn't an exercise. It wasn't a simulation. The tension was real. The risk, to the cadet, was real. And for that cadet, there was clarity. Until now, the cadet had never admitted it to himself. That there was always something wrong. That time didn't feel linear. That choices reset. But now, standing along with the crew and his father, he knew. This was something else. Was it a test of survival? Another psychological experiment? Or was Q, in a way, attempting to recruit him? The cadet had endured the impossible. Dozens of loops, endless failure, terrible compromises. And still, he stood. Perhaps that's what Q wanted. Not a savior, but a survivor. These events would have no record for the Righteous. No Starfleet log. No commendation. They were a ship out of place, untethered from the chain of command. But someone had to face the cube, and Q had given them that chance. The Righteous accelerated. Sector 001 lay ahead. Whether this was the end of the test, or the beginning of something else, didn't matter. They were in the fight now. For real. And the cadet would remember what it took to get him there. Subject returned from cadet rotation with incomplete service records and no active duty assignment on file. Despite this, individual displayed advanced tactical insight, elevated stress tolerance, and combat reflexes typically observed only in officers with multiple engagements. No documentation exists to justify these developments. Subject exhibited signs of post-traumatic pattern recognition, appeared to anticipate events moments before they occurred. When questioned on specific fleet losses at Wolf 359, the subject grew distant. He did not speak about the battle, but rather the moments before it. The calm, the silence, the inevitability. Medical scans reveal elevated hippocampal activity and abnormal neutral markers consistent with long-duration holosim exposure. No official simulation was assigned. In conversation, the subject referenced ship names and crew members that were found in the Starfleet archives. Most frequently, USS Righteous. Any attempts to inquire about this vessel either yielded classified results or shown that the ship was lost at the battle. When informed of this, the subject said only, "I know what I saw." Cadet Alpha exhibits dissociation patterns consistent with artificially induced memory exposure, possibly external influence, potentially Q Continuum in origin. Subject recalls nonlinear events with clarity, but no empirical timeline. Refers to a loop structure, mentions ethical decisions measured without judgment. Indicates he was prepared but not chosen. Refers to moral decisions as coin flips with consequences. Despite gaps in recall, subject shows no sign of delusion or psychosis. Rather, his demeanor suggests internal reconciliation with experiences no one else can verify. In simulation reviews, he exhibits a strong command presence tempered by hesitation when sacrificing others is required. Not instinct, memory. Recommend ongoing psychological monitoring. Subject may carry residual effects from an unknown temporal or extra-dimensional anomaly. While no formal record of Borg Q359 exists, behavioral data suggests one truth. He remembers something we didn't authorize, and he survived something we didn't record.